Here are some shapes on a square grid. One of the shapes has two right angles. Tick the shape. So remember, a right angle is like the same size as the corner of a piece of paper or the corner of this screen. So we can see that this shape here only has one right angle, but we need to tick a shape that has two right angles. This shape here only has one as well. This shape doesn't have any right angles, doesn't have any corners that are the same size as the corner of a piece of paper. This shape has a right angle here and also has a right angle here. So that means that this shape has two right angles. And this shape doesn't have any, because if we look, perhaps this is a right angle, but if we line it up with the corner of a piece of paper, we'll see that this angle is less than a right angle. So this shape has 0 right angles. And the way to spot a right angle is that we go the same number across and up in both directions to get to the line. So from this corner, we can go across one and up one to get to the line, and across one and down one. So that tells us that this angle here must be a right angle. Here are two clock faces. Join each clock face to the correct digital time. So for this first clock, we can see that the hour hand, the shorthand, has gone past 8 and hasn't got to 9, so the hour will be 8. And then the minute hand, so the longer hand, is on the 4. And we multiply the number that the minute hand is on by 5. And 4 times 5 is 20. So that's 8 hours and 20 minutes. So we need to match this clock here to 8:20. And here we can see that the hour hand, the shorthand, has gone past the 3, and the minute hand is on the 8, and 8 times 5 is 40, because remember, we multiply the number that the minute hand is on by 5. So that's 340. Here are 4-digit cards. We have 4, 6, 2 and 7. Use all 4-digit cards to make this sum correct. So we need to find numbers that give a total of 100. We can start by thinking what our ones digits could be. And our ones digits will need to give a total of 10. The total of our ones digits needs to be 10 because that will give us 0 as the ones digit of our answer. So we can have 6 and 4 as our ones digits because 6 plus 4 is 10. So that will give a number that ends in a 0. And now we need to think what our tens digits could be. We've already made one 10 by adding our ones. So we need 9 more tens because there are 10 tens in 100. And if we've already made one 10, we need 9 more tens to make 100. So we can have 7 and 2 because 7 plus 2 is 9. But then we get our 10th 10, so we get to 100 by adding our ones digits. And we can check, perhaps by doing a column addition, that 76 plus 24 is 100. But there are different possible answers, because if we switch digits in the same place value, we'll get the same answer. So we could swap our ones digits and have 74 and 26. And that will give a total of 100 as well. Or we could have 24 and 76 if we swap our tens digits. Write in the missing numbers. So we can see that the rule for this sequence of numbers is subtract 5. So to find this number here, we need to work out 42 minus 5. That's 37. And we can work this out mentally because from 42 we can subtract 2, so subtract the ones to get to 40, but that's subtracting 2 and we want to subtract 5. So we need to subtract another 3 because if we subtract 2 and then 3, that's subtracting 5 altogether. And 40 minus 3 is 37, because 7 and 3 make a number bond to 10. So this number here is 37. And then we can check 37 minus 5 is 32. And now we need to work out 32 minus 5. That's 27, because from 32 we can take the 2 ones away to get to 30, and then subtract 3 more to get 27 as our missing number. And then we can check 27 minus 5 is 22. Tom and Nadia have 16 cards each. Tom gives Nadia 12 of his cards. How many cards do Tom and Nadia each have now? So if we think about Tom first, he started with 16, but then he gave away 12 of his cards. So he now has 12 less than 16, and 16 minus 12 is 4, so that means that Tom now only has 4 cards. And now, if we think about Nadia, she started with 16, but then she got 12 more from Tom. So we can work out 16 plus 12, and that means that Nadia now has 28 cards. Lucy also has 16 cards. She gives a quarter of her cards to Kieran. How many cards does Lucy give to Kieran? So she gives 1/4, so that's 1 over 4 of her 16 cards away to Kieran. And we need to know how many cards is a quarter of 16 cards. So to find a fraction of a number, if the numerator is 1, all we need to do is divide the number by the denominator. And 16 divided by 4 is 4, because 4 times 4 is 16. So that means that Lucy gives 4 cards to Kieran, because 4 is a quarter of 16. Write these prices in order, starting with the smallest. So we have £20.50, £25, which if it makes it easier, we can write with a 0.00 on the end to show that we only have £25 and no extra pence. And we also have £2.50 and £20 5 pence. So with ordering money, what we need to remember is that if the number of pounds is more, then that will be more money. So the pence doesn't matter if the number of pounds is different. So £2.50 is our smallest amount. Then we have £20 and 5 pence, and that's less than £20 50 pence, because if we look after the decimal point, here we have a 0, but here we have a 5. So we know that this amount is more. And then our largest value is £25. Write the missing numbers in the 2 empty boxes. So we can see that an arrow means is 10 less than. So 49 is 10 less than 59, because from 49 we need to add 10 to get to 59. So 33 is 10 less than what number? Well, 33 plus 10 is 43, so that means 33 is 10 less than 43. Now, what number is 10 less than 10? So this number plus 10 equals 10, and 0 plus 10 is 10, because if we add a number to 0, then our answer will just be the number that we add. So 0 plus 10 is 10, which means that 0 is 10 less than 10. Luke sorts a set of numbers to find those that are odd. He says, I only need to look at the last digit to know if a number is odd. Is Luke correct? Explain how you know. Well, Luke is correct, because if a number ends in 1, 3, 5, 7 or 9, it is odd. It doesn't matter what the other digits in the number are. If the last digit is one of these, then we have an odd number. And if a number ends in 0, 2, 4, 6 or 8, we know that it is even. There are 5 ice creams in a box. Alex buys 7 boxes of ice creams. How many ice creams does she buy altogether? So we know how many are in each box or in one box, and we know the number of boxes. So to find out the total, we can multiply the number of boxes by the number in each box. And 7 times 5 is 35, so that means that she buys 35 ice creams altogether. 4 children share an apple equally. What fraction of the apple does each child get? So if one apple has been split between 4 children, that means each child will get 1/4 of the apple. So we can draw a circle to represent the apple, and if it's been shared between 4 children, we can split our apple or our circle into 4 sections, and each child will get one of those sections, and we can see that that's 1 part out of 4, so 1/4. Write 2 numbers, each greater than 100, to complete this subtraction. So something minus something is 208, and both of these numbers need to be greater or larger than 100. Now we know that to find the first number of a subtraction problems can be read backwards as addition problems. So 208 plus this number here will give us this number here. And because the numbers need to be greater than 100, let's use 101 for this number here. And that means we can work out the first number of our subtraction by adding 208 and 101. So that gives us 309. So we can have 309 for the first number in our subtraction, because then both of our numbers are greater than 100, and 309 minus 101 will give us 208. But there are lots of possible different answers here. So for example, we could use 200 for this number here, because that's still greater than 100, and then that means that this number would be 408, because 208 plus 200 is 408, which means that 408 minus 200 is 208. Continue the number sequence in both directions. So we have 34, 37 and 40, and we can see that 34 plus 3 is 37, and 37 plus 3 is 40. So the rule for this sequence is plus 3. So to find this number here, that will be 40 plus 3, so 43. Then 43 plus 3 is 46, and 46 plus 3 is 49. And now we can find the number before 34, because this number plus 3 is 34. So because we're now working backwards, if we work out 34 minus 3, that's 31. So that tells us that 31 plus 3 is 34. And then here we can work out 31 minus 3, so that's 28. And 28 minus 3 is 25.